Right, so that was Mauricio Pochettino there. I feel like we can talk about some individual performances a little bit later, but just based on how much negativity there's been around this team for the last weeks and really months, how big was this win and the performance part of it tonight?
Massive. For the first time in Mauricio Pochettino's tenure, we could see the pressure getting to him. And he could say, it's not getting to me. He could say, it doesn't bother me. But he was taking, I would say, not shots, but he felt defensive in front of the
swipes.
Swipes. And he's doing this in front of the U.S. press. I could only imagine what he's faced in Paris, what he's faced in England, what he's faced, in other places he's been like La Liga. This should be nothing. But he felt slighted. He felt like he had to be a little bit more defensive. And the only thing that can cure the L's of the fan base, the only thing that can cure the worries of certain pundits is winning. So he did what he needed to do. I thought it was very intelligent of the coaching staff to see the players they had at their disposal and say, you know what? We've got to do what we can with what we have. They changed the formation, 3-4-2-1, more catered to the players and how they play at their club teams. I'm talking about a Freeman. I'm talking about Max Arfston. Max Arfston felt very comfortable in the confines he knows very well in Columbus. He was instrumental in the way they got into that game, in the way they attacked down the left-hand side. He played to the players' strengths. He didn't say, this is what we want. He didn't say, we're going to keep tinkering this way. He said, okay, these players play a certain way in their clubs, because I've seen it from Pulisic, because I've seen it from Zendejas, I've seen it from the midfield, the 2-0. I've seen it Richards, who plays at Palace in a 3. I've seen Ream, who can play there as well. All right, let's do this. This is what we're going to do. He made it very simple for the players. And let's take it with a grain of salt as well. You could only play who you have in front of you, but it was a Japan B team, a team that made 11 changes, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Correct, from the team that we saw against Mexico.
From the team we saw against Mexico.
I'm not saying I'm a Japanese pool expert, but the best players played against Mexico. It was definitely a second-choice 11.
Not Mauricio Pochettino's problem.
Totally.
Because he's played against lesser opposition, and he's lost to lesser opposition, so he's got to concentrate on the team they have in front of him. And he did it very well. I thought in the first half, it was give and go. It was back and forth, maybe a little too much for my liking, down the left-hand side, Arfson's side. Japan had a lot of success. I thought they were very fortunate not to give up more, but they weathered the storm and they came through at the end with very good individual performances.
What would you say in terms of progress that we saw tonight, taking into account that it maybe wasn't the best Japanese team?
Sure.
But still a fact that we just haven't seen a U.S. team put together a performance and certainly get a result like this in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it was not, I think the first half was pretty even. I think the U.S. made a couple of mistakes. I think Japan had a couple of attacks. You could also see why Japan didn't score in either of these two matches. You could see they're missing a number 9 right now. I think that can kind of what Son does for Korea.
Right.
Japan needs that to kind of get them over the hump. But I liked Christian. I liked that he was. I didn't think he was as effective in the Korea game, and I liked that he was running at players, combining, and having an end product to it. Balogun, we know, has had his injury issues, hasn't really been able to probably get in front of Pochettino. Can run in behind somebody and break down a defense without having 20 brilliant passes and a quick turn from Christian, beat a player, play a through ball, and you got a chance to score a goal.
I know if you ask Mauricio Pochettino, he's going to say he'll take the bullets for the team. Talk about me, not about the players. But this was very much needed for the coaching staff. This is fresh air. They were being doubted, and I think for good reason.
Well, results will show that, Herc.
I mean, the results, but also the 15th different lineup in Mauricio Pochettino's tenure. In October, it'll be 1 full year. So there were these doubts. There were these cracks that people were starting to see.
Do you not have those doubts anymore?
Of course I do.
You do,
of course.
But it gives a relief.
Does today?
I don't know if it gives a relief for the
today
coaching staff.
Go towards convincing you that Pochettino is the right guy for this job? Because I think it's fair right now for anybody watching this to have doubts whether he's the right guy for this job, based on what we've seen over the last. Really, since he took over. There's very little data that suggests it's moving in the right direction. So I think it's fair to question whether he's the right guy or the wrong guy. I just wonder how much today moves your needle towards right as opposed to wrong.
So a few things. I've been very disillusioned with what I've seen from Mauricio Pochettino.
Right.
I expected much more. $6 million a year. I want to see what that gets us. And so far, it's not been anything to really cheer about. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt because I mentioned 15 different lineups. At what point in any camp did he have an optimal lineup? And if I go optimal lineup, let's take the lineup that played against England at the World Cup. That's
Okay.
as optimal as you can get in my mind, okay? At one point did he have that lineup available to him in any camp?
Well, he's just getting Serginho Dest back
He just
now,
got
right? Off a
Serginho Dest
long-term
back.
idea.
Anthony Robinson's been injured. Christian Pulisic's also been on the shelf. He had his own troubles. Yunus Musa is cast out on an island. Weston McKennie
Balogun's
is being
been
taught a
injured a
lesson.
lot.
Balogun has had his shoulder. Matt Turner
wasn't playing.
is now a castaway. So we can go down the list. We really can. Timothy Weah, same thing. Gio Reyna.
Gio as
So
well,
what I'm talking
yeah.
about is he's never had what I feel is an optimal lineup. So I want to be fair to him. I want to give
Some
him
of
the
that through
benefit
his
of the
own
doubt.
choice.
Some of that through his own choice.
Yeah.
But even when it was through his own choice, you're still missing a big chunk.
Totally.
You're missing players, and because you don't have a Messi, is you have to be equal to some of the parts. And he didn't have those parts. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he's not helped his cause. Now, this is going to help. More than anything, it's going to help the players. And sometimes Mauricio Pochettino is a prisoner of his own words. Because when he speaks about Alejandro Zendejas, he's like, well, we want to make it a competition. We want to make it so everybody has a chance, this and that. Well, yesterday at the press conference, he said, well, we were going to call him up, but we figured that Club America was going to beat LAFC and make it to the Club World Cup. So we didn't call him up. And you're saying Fuller and Balogun, yeah.
Same with McKennie a little bit.
But Fuller and Balogun
Yeah.
is coming in because Brian White got injured. So there's a lot of inconsistencies to the way he does
Balogun
things.
was the 23rd player.
Well, and
thrown into
he
this.
mentioned Christian Roldan a couple times, who was in Eastern Washington on vacation and trying to
And suddenly gets a
quickly,
start
and
in this
comes
game,
on
right?
as a sub and starts for a guy that wasn't even on his
And good
radar
for
to be
him to
called into
take
the
the
camp.
advantage of
Oh,
the
for
opportunity.
sure.
But there
Absolutely.
are inconsistencies in
Yes,
how he goes about
correct.
things. And that's where I think it's fair to question.
And I think that's why I think it's going to be very interesting now because, again, let's see if he's true to his words in saying this is one of our last opportunities
Correct.
to kind of have this search. They've almost made that point that the search is over. We now know roughly who our squad is. And we're going to start, I think really October, November is going to be interesting to see from one camp to the next if we see a consistency. Because I would, most of the time I would think if you're, and it's hard because World Cup qualifiers are where you're looking for the consistency. And without having to qualify, you have this opportunity to just this opportunity of randomness. So if he's true to his words and he says the search is over, we know who our squad is, I'm interested to see what October and then November looks like. Is it 80%? Is it 90% the same? Okay, this player's a little injured. This player, has a reason or whatever. But I want to see that consistency because I think we need to see that he knows because everybody's going to have a bad game.
Right.
Everybody's not going to be effective. It can't be, here's your one chance. Oh, yeah, it didn't quite work out that way. Thanks for coming. You have to have enough experience as a manager to know by now, you've been here 14 months, you should know who my best players are.
I feel like there's still questions about the squad. Maybe we'll get them answered a little bit more in October. Definitely still questions about his starting 11. Did we get an answer tonight about the formation and what the formation should be? Ale Moreno was on this set last night, basically begging Mauricio Pochettino to go to 3 at the back, 5 across the back if you want. We did see that tonight. We saw 3 center backs.
But
Is that the right way to go forward for this team?
we're basing it off what we see from these call-ups. He's leaving off.
I think you can also
he's
base
left
it off what's in the
before.
pool. Do you think you should be playing with 3 center backs or 2? What do you think's the best setup for this team?
I think a 4-3-3 for this team is the best setup. If you're going to go with these players, well, Arfston doesn't play as a left
Arfston's
back.
not a
He's
left
a
back
wing
and a
back.
4 at the international
That's
level.
what I'm trying to tell you.
And
he
probably
doesn't-
neither is Freeman a right
Well,
back.
and but he doesn't play at that
Dest,
level.
we know, isn't the most defensive because I think some of it, too, you have to look.
Dest played in a 4-back, though, at the World Cup. Don't forget that.
No, I know
He
that.
played very well.
But,
Yeah.
but,
He played
you,
very well.
but you have to look at opponents as well. You cannot say with the U.S. right now, we're going head-to-head with anybody. we're going to take our lineup against your lineup. There is a point where the U.S. is going to have to make adjustments based on their
isn't
opponent.
the three center backs more pragmatic? Isn't that more
if your
defensive?
wing
me ask you a
backs
question.
have better defensive tendencies than offensive
what is
tendencies?
the position-wise weakest part of the pool?
Position-wise, I think outside back probably.
I would say center backs.
Okay. Yeah.
So if your position-wise, the center backs is the weakest part of the pool, why are you
play three?
Why are you trying to play three? Why are you trying to play more? So what I'm trying to say here is,
I mean, if you're going to play Ream, you probably don't want him in there as a two because he's isolated. I think you're looking at the players then.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. Are you telling me this is the World
Richards
Cup
plays in
squad?
the three
Are you
club.
telling me this is the World Cup squad? Because I don't believe so. I believe there are at least
Yeah, I think
10
this
players.
is a fraction of the World Cup squad.
So I think you say who
When
can help
push
me?
comes to shove, they're still in the back four, you think?
I think so. I think it gives them the best opportunity to do what this team does the best, to play in transition, to bait an opponent into giving you spaces, to be fast in those moments on the break, to pick your moments, to be historically what the U.S. has been. Forget the progressive football, okay? Mauricio Pochettino, with the time he's already wasted, doesn't have that luxury of trying to implement progressive football. And I think they've
You don't have
shown
the
you
players to
that you don't
progress
have the
anyway.
players to play and build out of the
Stevie
back.
talked about this on ESPN FC. He said basically the U.S. just needs to put players behind the ball and hope to ride the momentum of a home World Cup as deep as they can.
And use your athleticism, which is what we've always done in the past. We've always used height, pace, grit. You don't. The U.S. can play certain CONCACAF teams off the pitch, but you're not going into a World Cup match against England, a World Cup match against Germany, a World Cup match against Italy, a World Cup match against the Dutch in the knockout stage, against Belgium, and you're not going to play them off the pitch. You're going to battle for everything, and you're going to hope for set pieces, and you use your pace and your physicality, and you're not going to do it by saying, hey, let's be progressive and just go and play against these guys.
Do you know what the worst team in terms of watching football was in the Qatar World Cup? In terms of actual football, it was Morocco. And Morocco did ridiculously well in a group with Canada, who won the World Cup cycle, Belgium, the golden generation, and a World Cup runner-up in Croatia, and then faced off against Spain, Portugal, and in a semifinal against France, ultimately bowing out.
So if we have any chance.
This is how we have to play.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the players. You don't have a Messi. Because you don't have...
Do you think Poch knows that?
Of course he knows. Of course he knows.
He has to.
Of course he knows. Which is why I think...
That's not a tactic he's probably used a lot over his club coaching career.
Which is why I think he gets upset. He doesn't even have a son in this group. Why I think he gets upset. Because, wait a second, these guys are giving me crap about not coming in? Who does he think he is? Messi? Like, that's what I think he feels.
Right.
So you have to have a plan. And with this player pool, I think you can ill afford to get it wrong.
All right, let's go into some of the individual performances. I'm looking at the starting 11 here. I feel like Zendejas is a good place to start because he was left out for so long, and because on this show we talk about him a lot in the context of Futbol Americas and Liga MX, where he is one of the best players.
Yes.
I really felt like this window was absolutely last chance saloon for him. For him to play well and then have a goal feels massive. How much do you think he helped his actual case to make the World Cup roster next summer?
You're only as good as the games you play. It's a ridiculous goal. The degree of difficulty on this goal is off the charts. Most players would come swipe through it as hard as they can. He knew exactly the way he had to hit it. It's a very difficult ball because it's coming behind him very well to get it in his path, but he does well enough to get over the ball, hit it into the ground. It's a beautiful goal, and it's what he does off the ball. He can play as a double 10 because that position, if Flo's going to run, he runs the channels very well and he holds up the ball very well, and he's very good at linking up. There are a few players like Zendejas in this pool that have that link-up play. He's a player that can play multiple positions. That's going to be vital come World Cup time. He's done it with Futbol Americas. He's done it in Necaxa, where he's played as a 6, where he's played as an 8. He's played in America as a 10, out wide on the right, out wide on the left, behind the 9. This is a player I think could be useful, but he's got to keep going. And I think in this situation with Mauricio Pochettino, who I think doesn't have a set formation, doesn't have player personnel, doesn't know the spine of the team, it's an open competition.
I thought he was a lot further out of the picture until the comments about Gold Cup. Thinking he was left out of Gold Cup, you say, okay, well, if you're not being called into that team with all the big guys out, you're really in the fringes of the picture. But when Pochettino tells you, well, I would have brought him in, I didn't know that he wasn't going to make the Club World Cup with Futbol Americas, then you say, oh, well, if he was in your team at that point, or would have been, and then you see this performance, you got to figure this guy is, if not in the team, getting very, very close to it. Is there anybody else from tonight that you say either helped or I guess hurt their case? I can't think anybody really hurt their case.
No, not today. There was no real hurting of anything. Clearly, Balogun was the other, I think, player that, because
what your big winner tonight?
We've been talking about the attack for a long time.
We've been talking about the number 9 job since 2021 on this.
Exactly.
Since episode 1, and we're at episode 499.
And we've all, what was the conversation before? Oh, Josh Sargent banging goals in for Norwich. Okay, Korea. That's why I think we're all disappointed when we saw Japan's lineup.
Yes.
Because we wanted almost like an apples to apples between the two matches, and almost thinking that Japan's starting 11 might even been better than Korea's starting 11, and so we could really gauge the two. So that's why it's a little bit more difficult, because that first 60 minutes, and you know why that, because Korea makes changes against Mexico, and then when the subs come on, they're right back in the game.
Yeah, but if you're following Balogun, you can care less who plays. You want to play well.
Well, I'm not saying about him. I'm saying about us and the way we gauge.
But that's exactly what I'm trying to get to, Case, because we can sit here and talk about, well, Josh Sargent played against a full squad, full strength squad in South Korea. Well, foreign Balogun, just pure skill set, has shown you that maybe Christian Pulisic and the likes of other players feel much more comfortable because they know they're going to have to defend for long periods of time. And when they can take those lapses of transition, is a player that can run off the ball, it's a player that can hold the ball, it's a player that feels comfortable enough, and you can see it in the way he combines with Christian Pulisic.
I think that's the biggest thing. The Balogun-Pulisic connection it's hot.
It was evident.
Just to keep going, wait for that next chance, and when he got his next chance, he buried it.
Yeah.
Before the games were played, I kind of looked at this window and I said, okay, this is Sargent versus Balogun. Winner gets Pepe in the next window, because Pepe's not healthy right now, but I figure he's probably going to get healthy pretty soon. He's kind of
he's working his
way back, and when he gets to play for PSV, he should get a lot of minutes and a lot of opportunities to score, right? So you figure he could be hot come next spring as well. Am I right to say that Sargent and the performance of this window has truly put him behind the 8 ball when it comes to any type of serious minutes in that role? I know for a long time you've said he's the most talented 9
it's just this window
in the pool. Right, but I'm saying this window, after all of the kind of failed opportunities in the last couple years, really, for Sargent, this window, the straight-up comparisons, and as we just saw against Balogun, knowing that Pepe is still out there and we still got to give him his opportunity, Sargent right now is third in a race where I think you got to be in the top 2 to really have a shot.
I think Josh Sargent may be the biggest loser when it comes to Mauricio Pochettino's tenure. You see...
and not for lack of opportunity, huh? Right. Let it be said.
Mauricio Pochettino doesn't know the equity that players like Ricardo Pepi have had with Greg Berhalter.
Right.
The saving of the
For those listening on the podcast, just real quick, we keep flashing this graphic. It's the comparison between Balogun and Sargent this window. Watch the show. Go on ESPN Plus and watch it. But basically, shots on goal, shots, goals, expected goals, chances created, all 0 in the Sargent category.
So Mauricio Pochettino has no idea about the equity that Ricardo Pepi or other strikers have with this program. He understands the opportunity he's giving to a Patrick Agyemang, taking advantage or not. He understands the opportunity he's given to a Brian White, taken or not. He understands the opportunities given to Haji Wright, taken or not. He now knows that 2 different windows in big moments, he's not been able to count on Josh Sargent. And now that may be unfair to Josh Sargent.
Yeah, there's context there, for sure.
There may be context, but we keep looking for context with Josh Sargent. And Fowler and Balogun, well, right now he doesn't need the context. Right now, all he needs to do is show, hey, I came on against South Korea. I created tons of opportunities.
I see, before this window, I read something, coming out of U.S. soccer. Building off the momentum of Gold Cup. Okay. But then momentum has to come with a level of consistency, not only in play, but players. So if you want to say, to your point, well, then play him for a couple games in a row and see if you can build that. Have you seen enough? And I think that is the massive question that I alluded to earlier with Pochettino is, when am I going to see enough consistency in selection that we can start to actually make some of our own decisions based on who's truly taking advantage? Because I have no idea who's coming in half the time.
Yeah.
The players have no idea who's
you have
coming
to
in
assume,
half the
Case,
time.
if you're a player and you don't make the next October window, that you're on the outside
You're
looking in.
on the outside looking in, yeah.
The World Cup. That's got to be the mentality. Every single window, which is going to be only 3 left, by the way. Okay.
Well, there will be windows in the next year. They just haven't been.
Correct. But right now, every
announced
single
yet.
window that passes, you're thinking you're one step away from a World Cup. That has to be the mentality. And I think it has to be the mentality as well for Mauricio Pochettino.
I'm looking at the lineup here. There were 6 MLS players in the lineup. You know, people always like to talk about where guys play. But I do feel like some of these MLS players are fringe, not for the World Cup, even for October. So I'm just going to throw some names at you guys. Let me know if you think they're on the roster come October, assuming full health for pretty much everybody.
There's your caveat. But
okay.
yes.
Alex Freeman.
I think he likes Freeman as a project. I think he sees the
Are we in project
athleticism.
time right now?
Well, you are in project time because every World Cup squad will have
So yes for Freeman in
3
October.
or 4 guys that they don't expect to play, and you want them to gain the experience for when they do get there. And I see Freeman as one of
Okay.
those guys.
You? No.
No.
Arfston.
Joe Scally's there.
Okay. Arfston.
I think Arfston, but in a different role.
Right.
I think
More
Arfston
wing-back winger.
is interesting enough with open space, and if you need to push numbers forward, he can be very good.
Not a lot of other dudes like him in the pool in that way. He's kind of, he's that unique role. You agree with that?
But what I'm worried about Arfston is the best of Arfston is in the final third, putting
Yes.
the ball in the box.
Yes.
And you already made the point. We're not going to have a lot of ball
Well, this is
in
what I'm saying. If
crucial
you
matches.
like, I see him coming off the
See
bench.
him
if
coming
you need to
on when
push
we have
forward.
to push
Correct.
and be in a situation. I think what it'll be is it'll be a numbers game for Arfston. I think it'll be, is there enough of the guys? Does Brendan Aronson, for example, have a great season in the Premier League, or
I don't even think it's that case. I think for Mauricio Pochettino, he's thinking, okay, Anthony Robinson, that's my number one. This guy can play left back, he can play wing back. I could throw him on late in the game in an offensive third and just say, I need you to just go at people. I need you to take people on.
Left-footed service.
Left-footed
But
service.
Not a
you're
lot of
seeing him as a
left-sided,
midfielder.
left-footed
I'm not
service.
looking at him. I'm not looking at him
I'm seeing
as
him
a
as
back.
an option off the bench when you think you're down and you need to push numbers forward. I think that's what Mauricio Pochettino can see in him, the value in him.
A couple other names. One of the names that jumped off the sheet when they first did the list of the call-ups was Tristan Blackman, right? Almost 30 years old, 0 caps before this window. He got the 2 starts, which to me says this is something that Pochettino really wants to see. You think he'll be back in October?
I don't. Listen, got his first taste of national team experience at 30 years old. That's
29.
29. That's a great achievement for him. It's something he's gonna remember for the rest of his life. He's a little far in the game right now.
But no, he's not coming back in
I
October.
think he played 2 games because Banks was banged up and couldn't go the second game. I think he's a little far behind Austin Trusty, Cameron Carter-Vickers, McKenzie, and some of those guys who are playing their trade in Europe.
All right, one other name.
And younger.
Because this one divides opinion, as we like to say. Christian Roldan.
See, I really liked Christian's role for Greg.
Can he have that same role 4 years later?
I would have said yes if he'd been involved in the Gold Cup. And I think that it's almost like maybe a Sebastian Berhalter takes that role, or even a Diego Luna takes that role of kind of the guy who's in midfield, can cover a couple spots. I think Christian can cover more spots than let's say Diego Luna. Could play an outside back if he needs to. He can play defensive. He can play a little more forward. I just have a feeling that from what I've seen that it's going to be difficult, because I think Sebastian, in what I've seen so far from Pochettino, almost looks to that role more than Christian did for Greg.
I'm going to play the man here, and I'm going to play Mauricio Pochettino. I think Mauricio Pochettino brings him back for October.
Really?
I really do. I
think there's a chance we see him at the World Cup. I feel
I
like
don't
it's
know.
so out of nowhere. I mean, if you're calling him in October, you better think he's part of the World Cup team, right?
I think I'm playing the man here, but
Right.
I think Mauricio Pochettino has seen a Johnny Cardoso, he's seen a Luca Della Torre, he's seen some of these guys, and this guy gives me a little bit more bite. This guy gives me a little bit more intensity. This guy gives me what I'm feeling, what I need. He's one of those glue guys that the team likes to have around, and he's also already been to a World Cup. There's something to be said about that. I'm playing the man here. I really think Mauricio Pochettino values things like that.
You think he'd take a Christian over a Johnny Cardoso?
Oh, I mean,
That's
could you imagine Twitter the next day?
but those are those
Different roles too, I think.
I think they're
really.
yeah, they are. I think one's a 6 and one's an 8, and one has shown to
If
play.
he's
going to
play with 2 guys in front, he's probably going to need Johnny more than he's going to need Christian.
Well,
Here's the thing. And listen, Johnny, I'm hoping can
Johnny
turn the
hasn't played
page.
well for the national
He's not.
team, but
I know, but you're telling me a guy who's
I-
playing for
I'm
Atletico
right there
Madrid
with
is
you.
gonna
I don't buy it either because
left
look at
off
what
for
Malik Tillman, and I know it's Gold Cup, but Malik Tillman was able to turn that
Yeah.
corner, and that's my hope for Johnny Cardoso. I'm not
Right.
saying he's.
and that's why I was
over him.
surprised that he wasn't involved in more in the Gold Cup. To give him opportunity.
Johnny's on the flight. Johnny's coming to the world. I think Johnny's spot to lose, but
Right.
Johnny's going to start producing.